Alrighty, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Hopefully we don't run into issues here tonight. I'm already having some difficulties here, but not too many. Alright, guys. Should be going live right about now. Hey, M Life Kids and Videos, what is going on? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Psycho Ghost Trackers, hello everybody, he says. Alright, looks like we do have a little bit of lag here. I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I'm running at 37 CPU. Looks like we're live here. Okay, cool. Looks like I'm not having any issues. Welcome to the stream, guys. Welcome to After Dark number 16. Thank you so much for coming on, joining me tonight. Hope you guys got the notifications. Can you guys hear me loudly and clearly? I want to make sure real quick. Sending much love and light and happy holidays to everybody here. I'm already live. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, see, the outlook of this looks weird. Like, I don't know what happened, why it's like square shaped, but it ended up deleting almost everything. I had to do all of this setup here in like a 5-minute period. So I'm glad I'm back here. I don't know what's going on. Rob Random, what is going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well tonight. Hey, just in time prepping, what's going on? I'm a little low. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here tonight. Why my mic is acting up, why my Streamlabs is not working properly. Hey, Sharpshooter, what's going on? Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the whole stream setup. It looks off to me. So, but it is going to be how it is tonight. I messed with something and it got rid of my whole layout, which really got under my skin. But it is what it is. I'm sorry if my mic is a little low. I have it cranked up as much as I can, I think. Okay, is that better, guys? Can you hear me clear? I hope you guys can hear me loudly and clearly. I just don't know what's going on. Hey, Atlantis Paranormal, what's going on? Good to see you, my friend. Let me turn up my phone. Mic is a little low. Hey, Lori Marty, what's going on? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Okay. So, I'm trying to figure out this whole issue here with the view. Seems like the viewer thing is all off here. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Alright, well, we're just going to have to do with what we're going to have to do with. So, I apologize about the issues going on here, guys. I don't know what's going on. So, Yep. Alright, let's see. Yeah, and then like my chat goes off the screen if I even touch one wrong thing. So I seriously don't know what's going on here, guys. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's acting up like crazy. So sorry if you can't see it properly. I do appreciate it, guys. You turned it up for a second. See, I don't know what's going on. You're getting softer. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on here with this. I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm going to try unplugging my mic and actually switching the mic and the camera. Okay, guys, can you hear me? Is that better? We're back. I'm just having to test something. Cause that would be too much hassle. So, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be upsetting people. I'm sorry. It's what I have to deal with. And now my camera's off. So, oh gosh. There we go. Okay, I'm back. I had to try to see if I could switch the camera and do that. I don't know what's going on with my mic and why it's so quiet and soft. So, when you kiss the mic, you can hear it fine, but when you're away, it gets low. Okay, guys, I guess I'm just going to have to raise it here and deal with it like this. So, okay, now we can see. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. My whole stream got messed up tonight because I hit the wrong button and I was trying to resize it and make sure everything was working properly. So I do apologize about that. So I'm going to have to reconfigure this for next week. I didn't have time to rebuild everything. All of a sudden, now it looks like my whole screen is smushed into one side. I don't know why. That it like cut like the sections off, but it's gonna have to be what it's gonna be. Okay, at least you guys can hear and see me. That's what's important. So thank you guys for the 17 people watching. Make sure you tweet this out, share this out on Facebook and Twitter. That would really help. Alright. So, how's everybody's weekend or week going so far? Hope everybody's having a good week. Scary ghost stories. Okay. Just trying to keep. Yeah, the black and white's on purpose. That just reduces my bit rate. Do you ever sleep? LOL. Not really, buddy. North Nottingham. I don't really sleep much. Made you a moderator too, North Nottingham. Alright. Yes, time for ghost stories. So does everything look good now, guys? Other than the screen is kind of like smushed into the middle there. I promise I did not mean for that to happen. Hey, Texas Life Julie, what's going on? Awesome, tweet it out. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay, I'm just looking through the comments. Hey, Tamara, the Kiwi Still, what's going on, guys? It really didn't look like my notifications went out to a lot of people. So I don't know what's going on with that. I have... Let's see. Okay. It is what it is. It's gonna have to be... It's gonna have to deal with what it's gonna deal with. Hey, Texas Life Julie. Alright. Looks good. Okay. So I'm not going to be able to see the chat other than what's on screen. So I'm trying a new camera angle too to see if that's any better. Okay, so this one is called the Meat Cleaver. The year was 1889 in the city of Victoria, Canada, where there was a busy and overcrowded area known as Chinatown. In this area had lived a young Chinese man named Chen Hong. He was 17 years old and he engaged a um, emerged living, cleaning homes, and making beds in an American hotel. Nearby a narrow street called Fran Tan Alley, there lived a beautiful Chinese girl by the name of Yo. She was very poor and she had to support herself by working in the house for the ill repute. So I'm guessing it was like some kind of sick ward or something. Um, the first time Chan laid eyes on her, he immediately fell in love. The young man, came by many times to talk to her. He sat down by the window with her each evening. One day he worked the courage to propose to her. She thought he was joking and laughed at him. She realized he didn't. She realized he didn't want, or really did want to marry her. She told him she couldn't leave her employer. Her boss was very mean and a violent man. If she left, he would hurt her or kill. Sorry. Hurt her or kill her. Chan was determined and came back every day with the violet poison. Next day with the violet poison, he passed it to her through the window and told her to kill the boss. Pour it on his food, kill him and his wife, and then we can be together. The girl was shocked, and then she realized he was serious. She didn't want anything to do with him. After all, he was penniless. What kind of husband would he make? What kind of life could they have together? Also, he knew what penalty for murder there was. She told him to go away and never come back. She turned him down so brutally the man was humiliated. He walked through the streets. He felt like everybody was laughing at him. And for a while he did stay away, but a few days later he came back. He had a friend with him. Chan and his friend crept around the building, keeping to the shadows, so that Yao could not see him. A friend reached into the window and grabbed Yao by the hair. He pulled the poor girl halfway out and held her there. She was shouting and struggling. She didn't know what was going on. Then she saw Chan walk up. She watched in horror as he reached into his jacket and grabbed out a huge meat cleaver. Yao let out a high-pitched scream. He raised the meat cleaver in the air and brought it crashing down with all of his might. In one foul swoop, he sliced right through her neck and her head rolled into the cobblestones. With the pandemonium, there was blood everywhere. Chan fled, running all he was worth through the maze of back streets and narrow alleys. People saw him People saw him rushing towards him. He was covered in blood, holding the meat cleaver in his hand. They dodged out of his way, convinced he was an escaped lunatic. The police offered a reward and put up posters all over Chinatown, $150 for the arrest of the young man wanted in Chinatown. Acting a tip-off, the police searched the American hotel and found Chan in the basement hiding in a coal bin. He was arrested and thrown into jail. Just 2 days later, the young man took his shirt wrapped around his neck and hung himself in the cell. They say his ghost still haunts the back streets and the alleys of Chinatown late at night. People often hear footsteps, and then suddenly a Chinese man, emerges from the shadows. He came right at them, covered in blood, wielding a meat cleaver. He pushes them out of the way and then disappears into the night. Many people in Victoria have claimed that they have heard and seen this ghostly apparition, and he frequents Fry Tan Alley. So, guys, that was actually a true story out of Victoria, Canada. So, what did you guys think of that one? Hey, did I see Frozen Fury in the chat? Welcome, Frozen Fury. Hope you're doing well, my friend. She rocks. What's going on? Hey, Ghost Trackers. What's up? Frozen Fury. Good to see you, my friend. I hope all is well. Frozen Fury, you deserve an automatic wrench on my channel, buddy. Sorry I didn't give it to you before. Same with Texas Life Julie. She's a pretty awesome person. So you guys both are modded now. So I hope you guys enjoyed that story. Let me know in the comment section. So I hope you guys enjoyed that story. Camera angle looks so much more professional. I'm glad you guys like the camera angle. Hey, Unearthly Wanderings, what is up? Man, I thought there would be more people in here. I'm sorry about if the notifications didn't get out properly. I do really apologize about that. Hope everybody's having a good night so far. There's 20 people in the house. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I saw Angel Muniz in here earlier, so I do appreciate him coming by. 15 people in the chat. Thank you so much for coming by. Alright, so on to the next story. Hey, thank you so much for tweeting this out, Unearthly Wanderings. I really appreciate it, my friend. Oh, hold on. Did I miss somebody? Oh, Kim Fitzgerald Rock Fam. What's going on? Sorry I didn't see you. Hello, how's it going? Thank you so much, M Life Kids and Videos. I really appreciate it. Okay, the Shiny Collector, what's going on? Welcome, my friend. I hope you're having a good night. Hey, Tamara, the Kiwi Still, what's going on? Did I miss anybody else? Okay. Okay. This one's called The Hunting Knife. It's a short, true story. There were two men who owned a cabin in the woods. Their names were Barry and Conklin. Conklin. I'm just gonna rename it. And there were two men in the wood. Two men in the woods. There were two men who owned a cabin in the woods. Their names were Barry and Colin. Let's just call him Colin. Every winter, they would go up there to go deer hunting, bear hunting, and coyote hunting. They spent weeks up there in the cabin, just the two of them. Everybody was amused. Everybody assumed that they were best friends. Oh, sorry. Lost track here. Okay. One day, Colin came down to the woods alone. He and his friend Barry had gotten lost out in the wilderness. A search party was sent back into the woods to find him, but there was a snowstorm and they couldn't find any trace of him. The police thought there was something fishy about the whole business. Colin got very nervous and flustered and began to ask him questions. They suspected he wasn't telling him the whole story. However, they didn't have any evidence against him. They didn't even have a dead body to prove a murder had actually been committed, so they let him go. The spring came and the snow melted. A hunter came across a corpse lying at the base of a tree. It was Barry. His skull had been bashed in. Still, the police could not prove anything. He could have fallen and hit his head, and he could have been killed by a bear. After an autopsy, the coroner listed his death as being from causes of the unknown. Besides the corpse, they found a rifle. It was all rusty. Strapped with his leg was a hunting knife. But the knife itself was missing. Nobody thought of it much at the time. The next winter, it was hunting season again, and Colin went back up to the cabin. At this time, he had a new friend with him, a guy named Newcomb. It was a long hike, and when they searched for the cabin, McComb went to bed early. In the middle of the night, he was awakened from a dead sleep by the sound of a man screaming. It sounded like Colin's voice. He was screaming, "Don't do it! Don't do it!" McComb got out of bed and felt around for a flashlight. When he switches on, his eyes were greeted by a terrible sight. There was Colin sitting in a chair. He was dead, and there was a hunting knife sticking from his chest. Blood was pouring down into his lap and forming a pool on the floor. His eyes were wide open, and his face was twisted in a grimace of abstract horror. The one thing they puzzled the police was that they found the one thing that puzzled police is when they found the hunting knife. There was only one set of fingerprints on the handle, and the fingerprints had belonged to a man that had been dead for over a year. They belonged to Barry. So what'd you guys think of that story? Hey, Leah and Ladybug, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, so it's Colin. Thank you guys for all of your support. I really appreciate your time. Alright, so we got 18 people in the house. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Alright. Thank you, North Nottingham. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I just hit 1,800 for the second time tonight. So hopefully that sticks. I've been really struggling with YouTube taking subscribers away from me, but that's perfectly fine. They're just doing what they're doing. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves tonight. Looks like this is pretty much going to be a small stream. Alright, let's see here. I got 60 something views on this live stream so far, so that's awesome. Really appreciate it, y'all. I'm sorry to hear that, Terracope. Oh, Terracope, I'm sorry you're not feeling good. I have a little bit of a sore throat actually right now, but I've been taking like the zinc lozenges. Yeah, so they say that it was over on the 14th, but that doesn't mean anything by YouTube's terms. But it is what it is. Thank you so much for the 20 people watching. I really appreciate it. Hey, Tina Stewart, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for coming by tonight. Good to see you. Oh, dude. I mean, the first day, I lost 12. I lost 5 the next day. And then 15 the third day. So, I mean, but I got most of them back, other than I'm about 18 subscribers that I lost altogether. But it's okay. It is what it is. Yeah. Tamara is headed out. Okay, have a great night tomorrow. Take care. Hey there, man. What's up? Here to support you all the way, man. Hey, I really appreciate that, Psycho Ghost Trackers. I really appreciate your support, my friend. So I hope everything looks and is running good tonight. I see that I've only dropped about 70 frames tonight. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it looks like everything's running properly. Yeah, I took a bit of a hit, but it is what it is. I appreciate the people that stuck around and kept supporting me and resubscribed to me. James being one of those, James the sharpshooter. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Guys, I do have merch out. If you guys would like to support the channel, I do have men's, women, and children's clothing, socks, accessories, phone cases for iPhone and both Android, stickers, tote bags, and as for the price of a coffee cup, you can help me and support my channel. So I really do appreciate it. Hey, Psycho Ghost Trackers, what's up? Okay, awesome. Glad the stream is running well. Aw, thank you, Unearthly. I appreciate it. Okay, so the next story. Hey, thank you for the 21 people watching. I do appreciate all your support. Much love and light. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm just kind of going over all of this real quick. I need to check my Twitter. Leon Ladybug just tweeted this out. I appreciate it. Unearthly, thank you so much for tweeting this out. Kim Fitzgerald Rock Fam, I appreciate you for tweeting this out. Much love and light, you guys. Alright, so trying to see if there's any new people who have joined us. I can't wait to hit 1K. Yeah, Unearthly, that would be awesome. The purges continue until YouTube's algorithm has done 1,000 sweeps. I think next week when it's all over, according to YouTube's website. Okay, good to know that. Good to know, good to know. Okay, cool. Alright, on to the next story, you guys. Okay, this one's called The Grinning Skull. A young lady named Anne Griffith, who lived in Burton Agnes Hall, was walking home from a village store nearby. She came close to her house. She stopped on the road by a pair of men who were begging for money. Kindly, Anne opened her purse to give some money to them. But the evil men saw that she was wearing a diamond ring. A vicious pair demanded that she hand over her jewelry. The men grabbed the diamond ring off her finger, and when she resisted, the evil men beat her savagely with a club and fled. Anne managed to crawl to a distance to the gateway of her home in Burton Agnes Hall, where she was found by a servant. She was taken to her family, but she was so badly injured that she died of her wounds a few hours later. Before she died, she made a startling request that shocked her family. She asked that her head be removed from her body so that she would remain within the house, or terrible things would happen. Not wanting to carry out this unusual request, the family buried the poor girl nearby graveyard the following day. One night, on the night of her funeral, when everybody had gone to bed, the strange wailing sound and banging doors kept everybody up at night. These disturbing evenings carried on for 3 days. Feeling uneasy about the series of events that decided to exhume her body, and when the casket was opened, they saw her face bearing a grinning skull on her otherwise normal body. Her skull was removed and placed within the house, and the tormenting had stopped. A few years later, the new family had moved into the house. The box containing Anne's skull had The box containing Anne's skull and a few other things had been discarded into the trash. The horses pulling the cart would not move. Instead, they reared up and trembled in fear. The hull shook and the pictures fell off the wall until the skull was removed from the cart and placed back inside the house. When the local villagers informed the new homeowner of the legend of the grinning skull and Anne's death, the skull was bricked up in a wall in the house so that it could never be removed. Although nobody knows the exact location of the skull, legend has it that the skull is buried behind the wall in the picture of Anne in the main staircase. Every year there, on the anniversary of her death, Anne's ghost can be seen emerging from the picture, floating down the staircase, through the house, down the lane, behind the house, and then she disappears. So I hope you guys enjoyed that story. Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Okay. Unique Customs. What's going on, my friend? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really, really appreciate all of your love and support. 22 people watching. Awesome sauce. Thank you guys for that. 25 likes, guys. Please, you know the drill. Please make sure you smash that like button and support the channel, please. Okay. Hey, Spencer Entertainment, what's going on? Welcome to the channel, my friend. Thank you so much. If I missed you while I'm sharing the stories, I don't see the chat, so please make sure that you notify me of that, and I will definitely make sure I give you a shout out. I'm trying to put up the spit screen here real quick. I guess this is probably too soft, so maybe I just need to have pure unfiltered radio sound. So yeah, the chat goes fast, man. Welcome, Spencer Entertainment TV. Thank you so much for coming by, my friend. Yeah, it has definitely has a tendency of going very quickly. And actually, there is a typo. This is actually not number 14. This is number 16. I just got to make that quick correction. Oh, there we go. There we go. That should be back. Yeah, sometimes my notifications don't go out, and all of a sudden, like, people don't show up. So I don't know what's going on. I try to let everybody know that I am live, so I thought I was like promoting this for like the last 48 hours, but I'm not sure. My new show on Wednesday nights is much larger than this one usually. We have 24 in the house. Okay, awesome sauce. Thank you guys so much. Let's see. 60 views. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so I can't actually tell how many. Who else is here? Spencer Entertainment. Okay. So, on to the next story. The old bridge. Sounds kind of creepy. Near Camden, a little sawmill town in the east part of Texas, there was an old bridge that went by the name of McManor Bridge. The reason it was called McManor Bridge was there was a crazy old man named McManor who was killed at the exact spot where the bridge crosses the river. One night he was one night he was riding his horse and got spooked, and suddenly it reared up on its hind legs. Old McManor was thrown off and he landed on his head. The fall broke his neck and killed him later. Killed him, and he was deader than a doorknob. Now the old McManor was foul-tempered individual, and after he was buried, there was reports of his ghost that haunt the bridge, frightening anybody who crossed the river. Everyone in the town was scared to go across that bridge in case they encountered the fearsome ghost. One late night, a football team was coming back into town after winning a game after school. They reached McManor Bridge, and all of a sudden the bus stopped in its tracks and the engine stalled. The kids looked out the windows looking, wondering what had happened, and there was old man McManor's ghost just laughing like a crazy old man, making all sorts of hideous faces at them. Everybody in the bus started to scream and holler back at the old man. Old man McManor's ghost took hold of the back end of the bus and lifted it clean off the ground, throwing everybody out of their seats. And when they just started to fall over they just started falling one after another, yelling and screaming at the top of their voices. Some of them tried to climb out the door, but it was jammed and they couldn't get the door ajar. They just tried to lay there on the floor of the bus with their heads down, praying for the Lord to save them. There was no telling them what was going to happen to the teacher and the children in the bus that night if the cars hadn't been passing by that way. When their headlights hit the old man's ghost, he suddenly let go of the bus and vanished right before their eyes. Sorry. One of the drivers jumped out and helped him manage the door on the bus. The kids came out scrambling and started running each way, but the teacher called them back and told them to calm down and take their seats again. The teacher took the steering wheel and started the motor, and it started to run immediately. When they came home to Camden without having any more mishaps, but they can never forget that terrible night. After that, people are pestered by the old man McManor's ghost, and they finally built a new highway and tore the old bridge down. The McManor Bridge ghost hasn't been seen or heard from since. Wow, that sounds like a pretty strong spirit. Seriously. Hey, thank you so much for the people watching. I do appreciate all your support. 24 people in the house. Thank you so much. Alright, on to the next story. This one's called The Devil's Footprints. It was the it was the 9th of February, 1855, when the Devil's Footprints had first appeared. The townspeople in country Devon, England, woke up that morning to find thousands of mysterious tracks in the snow. The tracks resembled the footprints left by a cloven hoof and extended through the area for several towns. Mysterious footprints were found to go up the side of walls, into gardens, onto roofs, and down the sides of fences, where it was impossible for any person or animal to go. Some of the tracks just came down and stopped in the middle of nowhere, as if the owner had suddenly vanished. Some of them stopped abruptly and continued after a large break, and others stopped at high walls, only to continue on the other side, leaving the snow on top of the wall untouched. The set of footprints went right across the river X, continued through the other side. Wherever and whenever he had left them, he had passed straight through water. A feeling of deep unease spread through the people who had lived in the area, believed that it might be the footprints of the devil himself. There were also rumors of sightings of a devil-like figure in the Devon area during the scare. Many of the townspeople armed themselves in attempt to track down the beast wherever possible, without success. There was those, too, who refused to believe the footprints were made by the devil. They came up with their own theory. Sorry, man. It's late tonight, and I'm not feeling 100%. Some of the townspeople might have been nuts and imagined the whole thing. Others thought that the tracks could have easily been left by hopping mice. Some theorized that a balloon might have floated across the landscape, trailing the rope, making an odd tracks in the snow along its way. Yet, the people said it could have been caused by kangaroos who escaped from the zoo, although the footprints looked nothing like the tracks of a kangaroo would leave. Do you really think these theories are likely? Perhaps it's easier to believe unlikely expectations rather than accept that the devil visited Devon on one cold winter's night and stalked the towns looking for sinners to drag to hell. Today, the devil's footprints remain an unsolved mystery, and the strange phenomenon is still unexplained. So what do you guys think of that story? Oh, I see some people saying hi. Native Grammy, hey, how you doing? Hope you're doing well tonight. Thank you so much. Benny Loco, what's going on? Good to see you. Nice. Awesome, North Nottingham. You're looking to get a new car? That's cool. That one was really creepy. Yeah, that one was pretty spooky, you guys. Wow, 30 likes. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Guys, please, if you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button. Help support the channel. I really appreciate it. Kyoko Rock Fams, what's up, my friend? Good to see you. My back was hurting a little bit too tonight, man. Alright, no complaining. Gotta do this. This is my show. I like to have fun with you guys. That's what this is all about. This one is called The Gray Lady. The Gray Lady is a ghost who haunts the Willard Library in Evansville, Indiana. The first sighting of the Gray Lady ghost that happened in 1937. At 3 a.m., the night janitor at the children's library entered the basement, to check the furnace. He was so startled by what he saw, he dropped his flashlight. It was the ghostly figure of an old lady, clothed in a long gray dress, the gray shawl, the gray shoes, and a gray hat, and a veil. As he watched the figure dissolve into the shadows, the night janitor was so freaked out that soon afterwards he quit his job. The library hired another janitor to replace him, and then a new janitor. And when the new janitor went down to the basement that night, he began to catch glimpses of the ghost. It wasn't long before he quit his job as well. Ever since then, the ghost has been spotted a number of times. Many people who visit the library also report sudden cold spots, unexplained noises, faucets turning on and off by themselves, doors opening and closing by themselves, and the overpowering smell of perfume. And when others have noticed that books and furniture have been moved around and have felt an invisible touch on their hair or earrings. A 3-year-old boy was wandering the library and suddenly he came back running to his mother. He was very upset and his eyes were wide with fright. She asked him what was wrong, and he told her he had seen a scary lady dressed all in gray. Several sightings were reported by employees who saw the gray lady lurking around the bookshelves. One of the librarians was going by some of the book stacks when she stopped suddenly. The gray lady was standing right in front of her. The librarian looked away for a second and looked back, and when that ghost was gone. Another librarian went home, and one night she was surprised to find the ghost standing in her home, waiting for her. Who is the gray lady, you might ask? Why does she haunt the library? Some believe that it's a ghost of a woman named Sarah Carpenter. Her father, Willard Carpenter, was the founder of the library, and when he died, he left all of his money to the library. His daughter was left out of the will and never received an inheritance. They say that she had a grudge against the library her whole life, and when she died, her restless spirit returned to haunt it. Others claim that it's the ghost of a woman who drowned herself on the property before the library was built. Ghost Cam installed in Willard Library in 1999. Viewers on the internet can watch it as it happens, or watch it in hopes of catching a glimpse at the Gray Lady. Wow. Sounds pretty wild, you guys. So what did you guys think about that story? Alright, live chat, 20 people watching. Okay, awesome. Hey, Benny Loco or Bexer, what's going on? Did I miss anything? I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm doing good, Native Grammy. It's good to see you. I'm just feeling a little under the weather tonight. I kind of got like a little bit of a sore throat and a little bit of a runny nose, but otherwise I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. That's my feet just moving around. So yeah, so there's that. Little sick, but nothing too bad. Alright, let's see. I gotta get this back. Oh, you guys like that story? Awesome. Okay. This is actually a true story about an area in South Carolina, and I meant to always go there. It's called Pawleys Island, and some people are familiar with the Gray Man in South Carolina. Okay. The Gray Man always appears on Pawleys Island before a deadly storm. He warns people of impending danger of the for the small island and its residents. He appears as a shadowy figure dressed all in gray clothing, standing on the beach or among the sand dunes, waving at people suddenly before vanishing right in front of their eyes. People who see the Gray Man heed his warning and they always survive the storm. They say he lives because he was unable to save his own life. He was once the son of a rich man who owned a Pelican Inn on Pawleys Island. One evening, he was going to visit his girlfriend, who lived on the other side of the island. He would just returned from a long voyage at sea and planned to marry her. The young woman waited for him to arrive, but he never came. As the young man traveled down the road, he was eager to see his girlfriend. He took a shortcut across the marsh. His horse stumbled and fell and threw him off. And when he tried to stand, he realized that he was standing in quicksand. But despite his efforts, he was unable to free himself, and he died a lonely death, sinking beneath the sand. The young girl was devastated by the terrible news and drove her almost mad as she spent countless hours walking the forlornly at the beach in Pawleys Island, mourning her lover. One windy afternoon, she was walking and saw a man dressed all in gray. He was looking out at the water. As soon as she got closer, he started waving at her. Her stomach tightened because she recognized him. It was her dead fiance. She could not believe her eyes. Suddenly, a wave burst from the sea, enveloping him, and when it had happened, he was gone. The Gray Man had disappeared. The young woman was terrified, and she told her family what she had seen. Her parents thought she was losing her mind. They told her to go see a doctor on the mainland. That night, a hurricane struck the coast, and the ocean was tossed by the waves. They called it the Great Hurricane, and its violent winds nearly destroyed every home on the island. The next day, the girl and her parents returned to Pawleys Island, and it was in ruins. Over 300 people had lost their lives, most of them dragged out to sea by the rolling waves. There was wreckage thrown all around, but the girl's house was somehow left strangely untouched by the storm. It was though it had been protected by an unseen force. She was convinced that her dead lover had returned to save her from a terrible fate. Ever since then, the Gray Man had been seen before every major storm, warning people to take shelter. In 1893, a family saw the Gray Man waving at them. They fled Pawleys Island and survived the hurricane that killed almost 1,500 people. In 1954, a newlywed couple went to Pawleys Island for their honeymoon. One day, they stopped to see the gray. They spotted a man in gray. He was dressed in rumpled gray clothing and a gray hat, and he hid his face. Suddenly, the man disappeared. The couple left the island, and a hurricane struck soon after, killing 95 and destroying close to 15,000 homes. In 1989, I'm assuming this is probably Hurricane Hugo, a man and a wife were walking along Pawleys Island when they saw a man dressed all in gray appear from the dunes. As they approached him, he suddenly vanished. The couple knew about the legend, so they promptly packed their bags and fled the island. A hurricane struck that coast, killing 76 people along its path. So if you ever take a trip to Pawleys Island, know to keep an eye on the beach and look out for the gray man. If you see him waving at you, take his heed for your warning. Or take heed of his warning. It might just save your life. There we go, guys. So that's the gray man story. If you guys did not ever hear about it, hope you guys enjoyed that story. It's really, really good. Irish Whiskey Paranormal, what's going on, my friend? It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Hey, two-layer Paranormal Investigation Team, what is going on? Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed that story. Alright, let's see here. So close to 100 views in the first hour, so that's awesome. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, so I always meant to want to go down to Pawleys Island when I lived in North Carolina, just because I wanted to see if that story was true and do some like evidence. Yeah, I'm doing my live phone chat tomorrow, guys. So you don't want to miss out on that for sure. Yeah, I know. John, Gemma is helping me to do a video on kids with mental disorders and special needs. Oh, that is so awesome, Terracope. Yeah, so that's a warning. I would leave. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. Uh Yep, Texas I would be running too. Yeah. That's pretty scary, you guys. I don't know. If I saw that, I'd be pretty shaken up, you know what I mean? That's pretty scary. So, I don't know why my notifications did not go out to like a lot of people. I'm hoping it did. It kind of went like prematurely, so I don't know what happened. Should have. Yeah. For sure. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next story here. Pawleys Island before a deadly storming warns of impending danger. Okay, so that was Pawleys Island. This one's called the Hairy Hands of Dartmoor. On the stretch of road in Dartmoor in the United Kingdom, there has been many sightings of for almost a century of a pair of disembodied hairy hands that appear suddenly and grab the steering wheel of a moving car and force it off the road. Picture this. You are driving along a narrow, misty, moonlit moors. It is dark, cold night. And all of a sudden, the steering wheel or the handlebars steering wheel or handlebars are grabbed by a gruesome pair of grotesque, hairy, and nasty-looking hands that are inhumanly strong, and they do their best to fight your car out of control. There is a story that has been reported many times since the first incident in 1921, when a Dartmoor prison guard was killed on his motorcycle and went out of control. The tale was related by his children, who was riding in the sidecar. All they heard was their father shouting to get them off the bike and suddenly wrestling with the steering wheel. They jumped clear and survived. Their dad did not. This happened again with another motorcyclist and a passenger were driven off the road in the same spot. This time a passenger saw two large hairy hands grab the handlebars and physically force the bike to crash. In 1924, a couple was camping in a caravan and they in the area, and a woman was awoken by the middle of the night by large disembodied hands covered in hair crawling on the inside of her caravan window. In horror, the woman made a sign of the cross, and hands seemed to disappear. Maybe it's demonic. Oof. The tale has been heard again and again in the area and has been notorious for accidents. Many of the survivors given the story a feeling of seeing large, rough hands covered in hair or fur grabbing at them or trying to crash their vehicle. Rumors are around that the hands are of a ghost of an old man who was hit and killed on the road. The ghost of the deceased Dartmoor prison inmate or some kind of evil spirit walking the moors. Whatever they are, it's a good idea if you find yourself driving through those lonely country roads of the UK. So if I saw that, I would flip out. Oh my god. That's scary, you guys. So I got 20 people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining on. I really appreciate all of your love and support. Thank you, thank you. Alright. So I don't know what I would do if I saw a large pair of hairy hands. Like that's pretty scary. Am I wrong or am I right? Hey guys, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go grab some water. Alright guys, hey, I'm back. Alright. I seen a disembodied armor hand once when I was 6 years old. It came out of the mirror. To this day, I have a major problem with mirrors. I'm sure you do, buddy. That's pretty scary. Hey, thank you so much, James. I really appreciate it, buddy. So, guys, how do you like those, like, entrance and exit scenes? So, like, any stream that I do on live streams, and hopefully, like, I figure out the next, like, the part, now the beginnings of the streams are gonna look like that. Yeah, mirrors at night are scary as hell. So yeah, that's what the start of the streams is gonna look like. Sorry, I'm eating a banana real quick and having something to drink. Yeah, I don't like mirrors. My house is haunted too, so I don't like looking in mirrors. Yeah, I was just showing you I'll probably add a mic onto that part too. In the future, I'll probably work on it. Hey, Haunted Explorers, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. All right. Browser. I'm probably just gonna have the chat roll through there. I'm gonna lock all these. So I gotta redo this whole like Streamlabs thing another time, so it'll be available when I go live next time for next Tuesday. I like to eventually do the call-in show just like this as well. So let me know if you want to do the call-in show as a hangout or if you want me to do it just like this. Work was good. It was just a little stressful. Plus, I was not feeling good. But we fully sold out at the hotel tonight, which was good. So we were busy for the first time in a while, which is kind of weird and random for a Tuesday night, considering yesterday we were dead as fish. Hey Marie, paranormal, true, crazy, and weird. What is going on? Thank you so much for joining on. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, I mean, the call-in show is gonna be like, I want to set it up because I heard possibly that YouTube is getting rid of Hangouts sometime next year or the year after. So I want to start transitioning to all doing it here on OBS. So that is something in the works. I'm going to possibly be doing that in the future. So I'd like to fully transition off of doing Hangouts altogether at one point. Uh, yeah, so the Haunted Explorers, his name is Murad. I hope I didn't say that wrong. Yeah, no, I said it right. Murad. Yeah, so his name is Murad. Go check out his channel. He's super, super duper cool. I just added you as a mod as well, Haunted Explorers. Alright, let's see here. So I'm going to get on to the next story here. Okay, this story is called The Bannister Dolls. And if you guys know me, I don't like dolls. I'm not a huge fan of them. They freak me out. And this story looks even super creepier than what I would rather tell. But for those who like dolls, this one is for you. There was a strange girl named Dorothy Bannister who lived with her father in an old mansion called Bannister Hall. The town of Preston in Lancashire, England. Her nickname was Dolly, and the local people called her the Bannister Doll. She was a very attractive girl, and she got lots of attention from young men. Most boys in the town were chasing her. One day, Dolly went to her father nervously and told him she had something to confess. She was pregnant. When her father heard of this, he flew into a violent rage. Scathing in anger, he dragged the teenage girl out to the garden and chained her to a stone, and then whipped her to death for embarrassing the family. Years later, the stone where Dolly had been brutally murdered was still standing and mothers would take their young girls as a warning of what they could do, what they would do if they got pregnant. None of the girls wanted to end up like the Bannister doll. Dolly's body was buried in the grounds of the Holy Trinity Church at Preston. The story doesn't end there. Not long after the Bannister doll's death, the corpse of the young man who was found laying in the center of Preston, his skull had been smashed to smithereens and his ribcage had been beaten to a pulp. The authorities were mystified as how he met his end. 2 weeks later, the dead body of a second young man was discovered in similar circumstances. When the third young man was found dead, rumors began to spread around town like wildfire. They said the ghost of the Bannister doll had returned from the grave to wreak vengeance on all the young men for the way her father treated her, for the way her father had cruelly murdered her. Some of the people claimed that they had seen the ghost of a young girl floating in chains, still floating to the floating up at Snow Hill until dusk. The fright had terrified everyone who caught a glimpse of her. It was said that you could hear the chains rattling of a dark after dark. If you heard the chains rattling after dark, your days were numbered. After Dolly's father died, a new family moved into the house. They did not stay long. The ghost of the Bannister doll appeared to harass them for nights before they left the house, never to return. Another family moved in, but they only managed to stick around for 3 nights before they fled in terror. The Bannister doll is occasionally seen in Preston, and those who report feeling an aura of tremulous fear and chilling malevolence, a stark contrast to the shy, mild young girl she was in life. So what do you guys think of that story? Hey, Faith in the Fallen, what is going on? Thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. Alicia Parrish Rock Fam, what is going on? Thank you so much for coming by. Alright, we got 19 people in the house. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. All of your love and support. Much love and light. Here. Okay. So we've had about 120 views so far on this video, so I do appreciate it, you guys. Alright. Okay, so let me get back here. So what did you guys think of the Bannister doll story? Can you guys not hear me again? I have to really almost kiss the mic tonight. I don't know why. It's acting up. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I have no idea. So, it's not gonna let me change anything. So, anyway, this is just how it's gonna be, I guess. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to stay as close to the mic as possible. Yeah, the sound is low. That's so strange. Yeah, it's I literally have to get close to this. headphones. Huh. That is so strange. I have no idea why. It's like if I don't talk it directly into the mic, it's very, very quiet. No, James. Chat rooms are only big enough for one superhero, and that's my brother Superman. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. It's this whole stream's like having a little issue tonight. It started out with just a few things, and then it exacerbated right before I started the show, and I basically had to configure the whole live stream almost from scratch and get all this stuff up within 6 minutes, which was kind of insane because this actually put me about 5 hours or 3 hours. No, I think it was about 3 hours to put together originally. But I now know how to do it, so I can do it kind of quickly. But I'm still missing a few things like the live subscriber counter and some other things. But I will eventually get everything fixed. So eventually I'll have everything neat and nice. But for now, I'm just going to have to deal with this. Thank you so much for the 20 people watching, 22 people watching. I really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, this sounds a little low. Like, I have it absolutely cranked up. So, I don't know why it's deciding to have issues tonight. Okay, let's try this and make sure. Let's see if this works better. Can you guys hear me better now? Is this working? Is this working? It still seems very quiet. I tried to increase the percentage. So, I hope this works. Hey, Creators Alliance, what is going on, man? It's good to see you. Welcome, Joker, to the stream. I hope you're having a good night tonight, my friend. That's better? Okay, awesome. Why, is it too loud now? Okay. I was just making sure it was working on my phone. It's louder now. Okay. Gotcha. Sounds good, guys. Sorry about that. I didn't know I had like option here to actually change it. Audio filter. Hold on. Okay. So, I guess it's working now. For whatever reason, it wasn't before. Let's see here. Somebody else join? I'm doing pretty good, man. I just got off work about an hour before I went live. Just decided to come on tonight, do my show for my scary ghost stories at night, and I hope everybody is enjoying them. The Sunny Collector JVB. What is? Oh, Shiny Collector JVB. It's good to see you. Did you add gain to your mic? I increased the percentage of the mic because people were having a hard time hearing me. Why, is this too loud now? Creators Alliance, you know how to do this kind of stuff. Is this too loud now, or does this sound good? Creators Alliance, you know how to do this kind of stuff. Is this too loud now, or does this sound? It seems like it's working fine. Sounds good. No, it's fine. Oh, okay. No, not too loud. Okay. Got you. It just sounds better. Okay. Awesome, awesome. Well, I want to give you guys the best viewing experience possible. Seems like I've dropped 188 frames, whatever that means. It's like less than 1% of this whole live stream, so that's pretty good. Okay, sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Okay, alright. When you move away, it gets low. When I move away, it gets low? Yeah, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah, it's just, usually it's not this restrictive. Usually I can, like, talk from pretty far away and it picks it up. So I don't know what's going on with the mic. Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on with the mic, you guys. I'm trying to keep it normal and keep it going. It seems like we're having booming out into the UK. Nice. Let's see. I did change it again. Let's see if that creates any issues. I don't know what's going on with the mic, you guys. I'm trying to keep it. Okay, it sounds like it's running fine, so I'm not going to worry about it anymore. Trying to get it back on a normal level. Usually this mic should have no issues. It's all good now. Okay, it's all good now. That's good. Glad to hear it. Alright. You know what? I'm gonna try one thing. So this is actually the built-in microphone. So this one's quite a bit louder. So I'm just testing something real quick. So this is actually the built-in microphone. So this one's quite a bit louder. So I'm just testing something real quick. Okay. Oh, sorry, man. I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to upset anybody's ears. But I'm back onto the regular microphone. So, yeah. Yeah, that mic is awful. The standard computer mic is awful. Yeah. So, I'm back on the regular mic, you guys. I do apologize about that. Yeah, that mic is awful. The standard computer mic is awful. Okay, so it's just like one technical difficulty after another, but it's something I'm just gonna have to work with, and I'm probably gonna just have to redesign this whole thing. So I have everything saved. It should be no issue, but yeah, so I'm back on the regular mic. I know, it's just I'm testing it on my phone to make sure it's working properly. It is what it is. It's gonna do what it's gonna do, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. Alright, this one's called Cloudy. There was a Native American man named William Cloud who left his tribe to work with the white man. He got a job as a lumberjack in Angler, Michigan. He worked on a log chute at a creek a mile and a half outside of the village. After chopping down some trees, the lumberjacks would load logs onto a raft and float it down the creek. They stopped at a log chute which had a huge, heavy gate that they would hold logs back until it was time to send for them. The work was tough, but they were glad to earn a decent wage. Another lumberjack, they called him Cloudy. He was a quiet fella. The only time he ever spoke is if he was asked to tell them Indian scary stories and Indian ghost stories. One story that Cloudy often told was the ghostly wreath at the haunted creek. The old ones tell tales of an evil creature that only preys on humans, he would say. They called him the Wreath, and he is said to lurk in the creek. He has horns like the devil and white scales all over his body. And after midnight, the spirit roams freely. It rises out of the murky water. It waits for a fresh victim. If you stray into his clutches, it will pounce and wrap his long arms. If you stray into his clutches, he will pounce and wrap his long arms around you. Then, with its fearsome claws, he tears into you piece by piece and pulls you down into the depths of the creek. That spring, the rains had been heavy, and the creek swelled to its highest point. It was a cold April night that the lumberjacks got the order to lower the gate and send the logs through. It was pitch dark outside, and the rain was falling in sheets. None of the lumberjacks wanted to venture out of the storm, so they all agreed to draw lots to see who would have to do the job. As it appears, Cloudy drew the short straw. Without a word of complaint, he opened the door and set out into the storm. He made silently into the log chute and disappeared into the night. An hour went by, and the men waited for the warmth of the cabin for Cloudy's return. They began to wonder where he had and joked that perhaps the wreath had got him. As time went on, the jokes had stopped, and the man began to get worried. Eventually, the men decided to go down to the creek and look for him. They made their way through the pitch black and the pouring rain, and only with the lantern to guide their way. And finally they came to a log chute, and one of the men lowered the lantern and peered into the creek's murky depths. Suddenly he cried out. They had spotted something floating in the water. It was the mangled body of Cloudy. The lumberjacks lifted the gate and used the poles to pull Cloudy's corpse out of the creek. He had been cut into ribbons, and only his head was hanging on by a thread. The next morning, the news of a murderous wreath, the Cloudy, quickly spread through the lumber camp. The men were terrified, and before long, many of them were packing their belongings and leaving the camp for good. They buried Cloudy near the creek by a small marker above his grave. By sundown, the camp was completely deserted. They say the wreath still lurks in the creek, waiting for another victim to stumble into his clutches. However, it was probably never. However, it was probably never get its claws on another victim because, according to the legend, the ghost of Cloudy haunts the banks of the creek, appearing to anyone foolish enough to wander near the edge, warning them of the terrible groans and piercing screams. So that was the story of Cloudy, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hey, Eric Garcia, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you're enjoying your night. Nice. So, let's see. 15 people watching. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, you guys. Okay. Alrighty. So almost about 130, 140 views here. I can't really see the full total amount, but I really do appreciate it, you guys, for you guys coming on and joining me here in the chat. Thank you so much. Much love and delight. Trying to see here. Okay. You sound tired. Yeah, I'm kind of fighting a little cold here and a little sore throat. But I still want to have my dedication to my fans who constantly come and watch my show. It's kind of my thing for you guys and like to have fun. So, if anybody hasn't subscribed to my other channel, Presence of the Unknown, there's a little icon at the top with a circle and an eye, and there's some of our videos from our other channel, from Presence of the Unknown, some of our travels and our haunted adventures that we've been on, and there's the channel there too. Wow, that sounds creepy. Yeah, I will. Guys, I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna grab some more water and I'm gonna take a little smoke break. I know I probably shouldn't be smoking with a sore throat, but I am going to do what I can to stay up tonight, and a little bit of nicotine never hurt anybody. Well, actually, it does. Cigarettes kill people every year, but that's besides the point. So I'll be right back. guys, I'm back. Alright. Yeah, my hat. Yeah. Alright. Sounds like... let's see. Looks like we're back here. Hey, Exploring Ginger, what is going on? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that's true, Creators Alliance. Okay. Looks like we're back here. Hey, Exploring Ginger, what is going on? Good to see you. Where's my drink? Alright, so back to the scary stories. This story is called Tie a Noose. Is a true ghost story from New York. Many years ago, there was a young Scottish girl named Anna Dorothea Swartz, who moved to the United States to seek her fortune. She came to work as a servant in a large stone house near the town of Catskill in New York State. The man who owned the house was a mean-tempered and violent individual named William Salisbury. He had paid her ticket to come to America, and as soon as she began to work for him, she realized what kind of man he was. He treated her like a slave. He told her she wouldn't be paid until she had worked off the cost of her ticket. She was trapped. Salisbury was vicious and brutal and taking pleasure in the suffering of others. He had frequently lost his temper, and Anna looked for any reason. He lost his temper at Anna and looked at for any reason to beat or abuse her. On one occasion, he had caught her passing by a closed door and accused her of eavesdropping on a conversation between him and his wife. Despite the young girl's protests, he took her outside and whipped her until her body was covered in bruises and welts. Salisbury was so cruel that Anna couldn't stand it anymore, and one day she decided to run away. When Salisbury found out she was missing, his anger knew no bounds. Cussing and swearing, he jumped on his horse and chased her through the countryside. The furious man relentlessly pursued poor Anna and scoured the woods until he found her desperately fleeing through the trees. When Salisbury caught her, he took her by a cord and tied her by the hands and to the trail of his horse, and he dragged her all the way back to the house. By the time he had reached home, she was dead. Her frail body had been bashed to pieces on the rocks and stones that covered the country road. All that was left of her was a tattered, bloody mess. Salisbury was arrested and tried for murder. In court, he claimed that he didn't mean to harm the girl at all, and he was only trying to teach her a lesson. According to the story, his horse had become frightened and reared up and thrown him off. Then his horse bolted, and the horse bolted and dragged the young girl to her death. He tried to explain his way out of the tragic accident. In the end, the jury didn't believe his story, and he was given the death penalty. He was sentenced to hang by the neck for the crime of murder. However, Salisbury was a rich man, and money can buy you many things. In this case, he used his money to bribe the judge. His sentence was suspended until he was 99 years of age, if he lived that long. In the meantime, he was ordered to wear a hangman's noose around his neck to remind him of the crime. He was ordered to report to the judge at Catskill once a year to make sure he had been keeping the noose tied around his neck. After the trial, he was a changed man. Wherever he went, he would see the hangman's noose, people would see the hangman's noose and started to point at him, knowing that he was a murderer. He couldn't escape the shame. Salisbury became an outcast, and nobody in the town wanted to associate with him. Soon afterward, the rumors began to circulate that the ghost of the young girl had been seen in the area. Sometimes she would be spotted sitting on the stone wall at the bottom of his garden, with hellish flames rising from her fingertips, and the sound of unearthly laughter coming from her lips. At times, the ghost of the poor murdered girl was spotted, tied to a ghastly horse, and dashed past the man's window every night. Those who saw her described as a bloody skeleton tattered with garments and screaming, hair flapping in the wind. The clatter of hooves on the rocks and the girl's terrifying shrieks echoed outside Salisbury's window the whole night long. People would walk miles to avoid Salisbury's house, not wanting to hear the terrible screams of the dead. As years went by, Salisbury became reclusive, never speaking to anyone and spending most of his time inside of his house. They say the ghost of the murder girl tormented him every night, eventually driving him insane. One day his dead body was found hanging from the ceiling of his house. Whether he was driven to suicide by guilt or remorse, or if he was forced into it by the ghost, nobody knows. However, the reason he had been taking his own life, he had taken his own life with the very noose that was ordered to wear around his neck. Alright, that was pretty creepy. Outcast, the world's famous outcast. Yep. The pork chop killed her? On his horse pork chop. Oh my god. You guys are making Salisbury steak memes out of this? That's hilarious. I have to give you guys props for that one. Guys, we have 12 people in the chat. I do appreciate it, guys. Please make sure you tweet this out if you haven't already. Make sure you share this on Facebook. Alright, let's see here. So let me try that suggestion that properties. Advanced audio. Okay, let's try this and see if that works better. I took Creator Alliance's suggestion, so hopefully it's a little bit louder. And I can talk from a little bit further of a distance. Okay, let's try this and see if that works better. I took Creator Alliance's suggestion, so hopefully it's a little bit louder. It should be. And I can talk from a little bit. Okay, so I think that should be a little bit louder. tried to increase the gain so I could speak from a little bit further of a distance, so I'm not looking directly at the camera. So, I mean directly at the mic and at the phone, because it was starting to hurt my eyes a little bit. Yes, way better. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Got you guys. Thank you so much. Okay. Alrighty. Sounds good. So this one is called The Old Man in Yellow. The Old Man in Yellow is a true scary story. There's hardly anything more unnerving than being followed by a hideous stranger on a lonely, dark road late at night. There was a strange when a stranger proves to be non-human, but that's getting way ahead of this story. It happened a few years ago to a young man named Elwin Thomas, whose happened to be visiting friends in a small village in South Wales. It was a warm June night, and the darkness began to fall. And when he left his friends to return to the country inn where they had been staying, judging by the past experience, he reckoned on searching it about 9 o'clock. It was exactly 8:30 when he said goodnight, and he was completely alone, gathering in the gathering dusk. And the only sounds were the occasional cries of night birds and the church and the bells of the church, and of his own footsteps on the gravel road. Being rather being neither superstitious nor afraid of anything, he walked briskly, glancing now and then towards the bank of an old canal off to one side of the road. About 10 minutes later, he began to experience a particularly creepy sensation, as if he was being watched. On impulse, he stopped and turned around and gasped involuntarily. There was no more than a yard behind him, suspended in midair at an eye level, was the most mysterious face he had ever seen. The putty-colored skin was drawn tightly over the feature, except for the forehead, which was lined with deep wrinkles. Thin, seemingly bloodless lips formed a crooked grin over a half-open, toothless mouth. The cheeks were hollow, corpse-like. The eyes were wild, luminous, and piercing. Wrapped around a ghastly object, there were 2 pieces of old yellow calico, one under the jaw that tied up to the head. The other was a forehead that was tied behind. Unable to help himself, Thomas turned and began running as fast as he could. After having covered about 100 yards, he stopped to catch his breath and turned around again. And to his horror, the face was still there, as if he hadn't moved an inch. Upon impulse, he dropped down, grabbed a handful of gravel and hurled it towards his face, then turned around again and ran. When he finally reached the inn, he stopped at the path leading off the road and looked back again. The head was still beneath him. The head was still behind him. Cautiously, he backed up in the direction of the inn and was surprised to observe that this time the head remained above the road, grinning somewhat contemptuously. Taking courage, he decided to go on and confront the apparition. But as he approached, the head began receding, its glowing eyes fixed almost malevolently on his own. Now he felt though he had to follow. Down the road he went like a sleepwalker until the dead head had disappeared over the stone wall, and surrounding a little graveyard not far from the inn. Suddenly he felt everything began to spin, and then he lost consciousness. And when he came to again late at night, he had lain at the foot of the churchyard wall for more than 2 hours, groping through the darkness until he found his way back to the inn. It was a great relief that he finally retired to bed in a relentless night filled with bad dreams. He told the innkeeper about this the next day, and he learned that he had not been having hallucinations. An erratic old recluse fitting the description of the apparition had lived in the cottage, whose ruins were quite near to the place where he had where the face had disappeared. No one could remember exactly how long the man had been dead, but they knew it had been many years since they had seen him alive. So what did you guys think of that story? I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you guys for the 14 people who are still in the chat. I don't know. I'm just reading the story. North Nottingham Paranormal Investigators. Sounds like my ex. Seriously. Hey, Nox TV, what is going on? 7 p.m. in Australia. Yep. It just hit 1 o'clock in the morning. This one is called The Headhunter. In the early 1800s, there was a man named Bill Quick who made his living hunting and trapping. He lived with his father in an old cabin in the Scituate River near Akron, Ohio. So don't hate me if I mispronounce that. Scituate River near near Kenton, Ohio. At this time, there was a violent war fought between the whites and the American Indians. One day, Bill was out hunting. When he returned, he was horrified to find the cabin had been attacked by the Indians. They had ransacked the place and robbed everything of value. His father was laying dead in a pool of his own blood. Bill flew into a rage, and then on he swore that he would get revenge for his father's murder. From that moment on, he launched a one-man war against the Indians. He stalked the woods and rivers searching for Indians and killing any who came across him. Bill didn't care if they were the guilty ones or the innocent ones. He killed them indiscriminately. He would hide in the trees watching the Indians, and when they least expected it, he would throw his knife and stab them in the heart. He would chase them on horseback and shoot them down where they had stood. He would wait until they would go to sleep, and then he would bash their skulls in with an axe. He showed no mercy. After he killed the Indians, he'd chop their head off and walk home with them. In his cabin, Bill put up shelves on display to show the severed heads of his victims. As the years passed on, he amused a collection of 99 grotesque severed heads, and he displayed them proudly like trophies on a wall. Let's see. One more head, he told himself. Just one more head, and my revenge will be complete. However, the Indians were aware of a crazy white man after him. They stayed on guard all the time, and eventually many of them left the area. Bill never managed to get his 100th head, as he was struck down by a fatal illness. As he lay on his deathbed, he told his son Tom to his side, pointing to the row of severed heads on the wall. It's up to you now, Tom. You must complete my mission. You must get that 100th head. If you don't, I will come back to haunt you. Tom promised his father he would do his best, and shortly after, Bill Quick died. Tom tried to make good on his gruesome vow, but he wasn't much of a hunter. In fact, he didn't like violence, and after all, he could not even shoot straight. Anyway, by that time, the Indians had left the region. Nightfall, Tom stared at the severed heads on the wall. He kept putting off the unpleasant duty of filling the final space on the shelf. He felt very guilty about failing to keep his promise his father had made. One night, when he returned home, he realized something very strange. The severed heads on the wall started to move. Their eyes would open and suddenly begin to gibber and shriek and clack in their teeth together. Tom was scared out of his wits and fled the cabin. Tom babbled the story to anyone in town who would listen, but nobody believed him. They thought he was all losing his mind. At this time, he became more unstable. He became more determined to carry out the promise to his father. When he had heard about the band of Indians had been seen in the neighborhood, Tom took up his rifle and set out on this horrible mission. Shortly afterward, a neighbor had heard a single shot, and it became in the direction of Tom Quick's cabin. Hurrying to see what had happened, the man found the cabin and the door closed. He knocked on the door and called out, but there was no answer. He went inside to look around. He stared in horror as the severed heads lined up on the wall. On the shelf sat the 100th head. Its mouth was open in grimace. The mouth was open in grimace. In a terrible glimmer, it leaned down towards him. There was a bullet hole right through his forehead. The man stared at the head. He realized who it was immediately. It was the head of Tom Quick. So what did you guys think of that story? Wow, 16 people watching. I do appreciate it, you guys. Hey, Paranormal Circle, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. God, yeah. Seriously. No kidding, Mr. Obvious. Yeah, that's no joke right there. That must have smelled pretty awful. Wow, we just hit 40 likes. That's awesome. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, like I don't understand how he can like deal with the smell of all those rotting heads. That must have been something awful. I think the smell of all those decomposing heads would have kept me out of that cabin. Yeah, he must have been nose blind AF. eyes are like hurting from staring at screens all night. Alright. The Demon of Detroit. It all started in the early 1960s when Mr. and Mrs. Adams moved into the house in Detroit, Michigan. Da-da-da-dun. 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 Sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Adams. Sorry, I got super sidetracked there. Almost soon as they moved in, the family seemed to sense that there was something wrong with the back room. All the children avoided it, and their dog refused to go inside. So I kind of just want to see the comments on that one. Hey, Wendy, what's going on? Holy cow. You're from Detroit? Nice. Wow. A tiny room with just enough space for a bed and a built-in closet in the corner. Mr. Adams worked the night shift at a Cadillac assembly plant, so when he came home in the morning he could sleep in the back bedroom. It was far enough away for the rest of the house, so he thought nobody would disturb him. God, I'm tired. However, sleeping in the back bedroom always gave him a strange, uneasy feeling. Almost suddenly, he began to experience horrible nightmares. They were so vivid and real that he would wake up screaming and shaking in fear. One night, a ghastly nightmare, he dreamed that he was opening the door closet and a blood-soaked, mutilated body of a woman fell out. As these days went by, the dreams got worse and worse. He lost so much sleep that he was exhausted and would end up moving back into the master bedroom with his wife. The nightmares suddenly stopped. And when his mother came to visit, they let her sleep in the back room. The next morning, she did not get a wink of sleep. Her face was pale and her whole body was shaking. She claimed that she had heard terrible sounds from the room, and it went on all night long. As if somebody was trying to break in. She refused to sleep in the back bedroom again and decided to cut her stay short and go home. After that, Mr. and Mrs. Adams began to realize that something dark and lonesome was lurking in the back room. Then an old friend came into town and they gave him the room for the night. They didn't mention a thing to him and went on their own They didn't mention a thing to him about their unpleasant experiences in the room. Shortly after midnight, the man was lying in sleep in bed, and he was awakened by the feeling of something churning him over. When he opened his eyes, he saw somebody standing outside of his bedroom door. It was a woman with long hair. She had her back to him. She was wearing a short fur coat and a blue dress. He got up and started walking towards her, but all of a sudden, every light in the house went off. He was stumbling around in the darkness, and when the lights came back on, he found himself in the kitchen. Mrs. Adams was there, washing her hair in the kitchen sink. All of a sudden, she heard a terrible and unearthly wailing sound that left them both speechless with fright. The sickening smell filled the room, and then the trapdoor in the kitchen floor that led to the dirt basement started to open and slam back down. Terrified, they called the police. A few minutes later, the officers went to search the house from top to bottom. They couldn't find anything. The next morning, Mr. Adams got home from the plant, and his wife and friend were waiting for him. As calm as they could, they told him what they had been experiencing that night. He didn't believe them. That evening, he decided to sleep in the back room. He was about to drift off when he heard something moving in the room. He thought it was his wife, so he called her name. There was no answer. He turned to look at the hideous face just inches from him. It was the most horrible thing he had ever seen. Eyes stared back at him. Mouth moved to talk. But all of a sudden it was hissing, and there was a terrible stench. Mr. Adams ran down the back room, his eyes wide and screaming in terror. He was ripping handfuls of hair from his head, and as he ran, his friend grabbed him and held him down. But Mr. Adams went berserk, kicking and fighting. Finally, his wife and friend decided to throw a bucket over him and wrestle him to the floor. His house was filled with some nauseating stench that they had smelled the night before. An hour later, he had calmed down and told the family the ghastly, indescribable face he had seen. The husband and wife grabbed their sleeping children from their beds and fled into the night. The next morning, they all moved in with Mrs. Adams' parents from a different part of Detroit. The Adams family had to admit that the defeat and fled the house in the back room to the horrific entity that was lurking in it, the demon of Detroit. Thank you guys for the 16 people still watching. I do really appreciate it. Sorry, I'm just reading through all the comments, you guys. Thank you for the 12 people who are watching. I really do appreciate it. We used to have MK2 Lotus. Wow, nice. Wow, it's a nice car. I'm a muscle car guy myself. I've owned a few. They get me in trouble though. So, alright. Let me see here. Yeah, I had a 1968 Ford Galaxy 500 Custom. Black with black leather with purple stitching in it. Had a 394 Cobra Jet 4-barrel carburetor. And yes, I still wish I had that car. Also had a few Mazdas. I had a Mazda Speed 3 with a Greddy twin turbo. Hey Taylin, what's going on? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Guys, I only have 12 people in the chat, so probably going, well, now it says 15. Okay, I have 15 people in chat, so I'm probably gonna end this in about 15 minutes because I'm getting pretty tired and I'm not feeling all that well. Nice. Guys, if you haven't considered subscribing to my channel yet, it would be awesome if you did. Please make sure you smash that like button. I'll read the current statistics right now. We are at 40 likes, so I thank you guys so much for that. Yeah, I've driven a few rotaries. They're incredibly fast. I drove my buddy's Mazda RX-7 that had 700 horsepower. That car was no joke. See, we don't get Citroen here in the United States. Do not do us like chopped liver, lol. Yeah, hold on guys, I need to go blow my nose. Hey guys, do you know how to make a napkin dance? You put a little boogie in it. Sorry guys, I have a stuffy nose. I haven't been sick in almost 2 years, and now I started working at this hotel, and like everybody's been sick lately, so it was about time until I caught something. Very nice cars, yeah. I've heard they're really, really pretty. Alright, have a good night, Texas Life Julie. Thanks so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. I think I'm just gonna hang out with the chat for a little bit before I leave. I think I'm pretty much done with the stories, because those were pretty much all the true stories to my knowledge. I'm getting pretty tired. It's hard for me to read. But yeah, there's a ton of good stories here. Okay, this one's called the Mud House Mansion. This is gonna be my last story, and then I'll hang out with you guys in the chat for a little bit. But I am getting pretty tired, so. Mud House Mansion was was a haunted house located outside of Lancaster, Ohio. According to the locals in Lancaster, the house was built in the 1800s by the government official who lived there after the Civil War. The man kept slaves in the Mud House Mansion, although it was illegal. It seems like this man didn't abide by the law and kept his slaves locked up in an outbuilding at night. He treated his slaves very poorly, and the conditions were so bad that one slave began building a tunnel underneath the wall of the outbuilding. He dug every night after the lights of the mansion had gone out. The slave owner and his family had gone to sleep. Or when the slave owner and his family had gone to sleep. Eventually his tunnel was completed, and he squeezed himself through a small opening and came up on the other side of the wall. Dead in night, he crept towards the mansion, slipped the lock of the back of the door, tiptoed up the staircase, and killed everybody inside. In the morning, the locals discovered what had happened, but all the slaves had escaped, and no one was ever charged with the crime. The house lay vacant for many years afterward, and the neighbors heard strange groans and shrieks coming from the empty mansion. Everyone believed it was haunted by the ghosts of the slave owner and his family. Nobody dared to enter the menacing-looking building. According to the local legend, a man actually did buy the house in 1892 and moved in with his wife and 3 children. Neighbors saw that the family moved in, unloading their belongings from trucks and carrying them into the house. And then nothing. The neighbors never saw them again. The family never left the house. The neighbors thought it was odd for a family of 5 to spend all their time indoors. And one neighbor looked through the bedroom window. All she could make out was a figure of a woman dressed all in white, standing on the 2nd floor. The figure wasn't doing anything, just standing there, staring at her. And when the neighbor looked again the following day, she saw a figure again, standing in the same position. Every day, when the neighbor looked at the Mud House Mansion, the figure was always there, standing in the same exact position. On the 10th day, she called the police and asked for them to investigate. When the policemen broke inside the mansion and climbed to the 2nd floor, they were greeted by a terrible sight. All of the family members were hanging lifeless from the ceiling. All were dressed in white nightgowns. It appeared that they had all taken their own lives. A figure of the neighbor had seen was the mother of the family. She hadn't been standing at the window. She was just hanging there for a whole 10 days. After that, nobody would live in the house that has remained vacant to this day. Some people come to visit the old mansion, but the current owner is not allowing anybody to enter the property. Sometimes she sits out there with the shotgun in her lap, frightening off trespassers. She's afraid that if anybody goes in, they'll never come out alive. Local children call it Mary's house. They tell each other that the famous Bloody Mary of legend grew up there. She lives in the area. She says on cold dark nights, sometimes you can see the figure of the woman all dressed in white, staring motionless out of the window. So that's pretty horrifying, guys. Like, that's a pretty awful freaking story. POTU is Presence of the Unknown. That's my other channel. Nice. You hit 770? That's awesome, North Nottingham. That's super cool. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awful what the slaves went through. That's pretty terrible. I mean, I just can't believe how, like, they were tortured and stuff, but to murder a whole family is pretty messed up as well. See, I don't know why the second family all decided to hang themselves from the roof. That's pretty nuts. Or from the ceiling, I should say. That's pretty wild. Oh, man. Oh, okay. Awesome, M Life Kids and Videos. Yeah, that's my Paranormal Teams channel, Presence of the Unknown. Please go support my other channel. That's my Paranormal Investigative Teams channel. So, you're only 900. You'll get there, Mr. Obvious. Well, I'm back down to 12 people in the chat here, you guys. I think we'll get a sign off here in about 4 minutes. I'll hang out with you guys in the chat for a few minutes. Do you guys have any Christmas plans or any holiday stuff that you guys are doing with your families? Hey, welcome back, Sharpshooter. Thank you so much for coming back. I'm about to sign off here in a few minutes. I just wanted to see what everybody was doing for the holidays. Trying to make sure everybody's doing well. Does anybody have plans for Christmas or going out of town? Oh, okay. Stuff. Oh, you have to do stuff around work. We chopped a possum in a few. We are chopped a possum in a few. What does that mean? All I got my kids for Christmas. But I'm behind on my wrapping. Yeah. I hear you on that. Nice. Staying home and cooking a big dinner. That's what's up. That's cool. I'm working all Christmas and New Year's. Not me. I'm going to be live streaming over Christmas. Nice. Oh, roadkill stew. You know, I've never done that before. Ugh, just doesn't sound right to me. I hunt, but like, I mean, I've eaten some crazy shit in the past. I've had rattlesnake, bear, deer, which isn't all that weird, but duck, turkey, ostrich, bison, another kind of snake. Yeah, I've had a bunch of weird food. Oh, you're flying to Colorado with your toddler in your lap? Holy cow, that's crazy. Well, best of luck for that. Don't, that's a shame. Don't tire yourself out. Yeah, I'm constantly tired. I'm tired all the time. Going to your sister's house for Christmas Day. Nice. That's what's up. Right? Heck yeah. So, guys, it is 1:30 in the morning for me. Yeah, it's not my favorite. Ostrich isn't the best. So it's 1:30, you guys. I'm gonna head to bed. Much love and light. Merry Christmas to everybody. If I don't, I'm gonna go live tomorrow night. So I'll be live still tomorrow night. And I will be live on Saturday. Let me make sure what day that is. So Saturday I will So Saturday I'm going to be trying to get another paranormal team to interview. And then the following Saturday I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So definitely make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I hate flying. I am not a flying person. I hate airplanes. I hate being in that area. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys liked the live stream. Sorry that everything got messed up with how it normally looks on here. I'm going to be making some changes. So much love and light to everybody. Peace out. Take care. And I'll see you tomorrow for the live call-in show.